I want to start today with a question that honestly makes me a little uncomfortable.
Oh,
It's about that thing you call yourself, your personality, the way you get bored in meetings, or that little spike of anxiety you feel when a room gets too quiet.
okay.
What if I told you that those things, the traits you think are just fundamentally who you are actually just software loops running on autopilot?
That is a provocative thought. It's challenging because we tend to identify so closely with our reactions. We say, I am an anxious person.
Exactly. I am a procrastinator.
Right. But the material we are looking at today, it really challenges that assumption. It asks us to um, separate the self from the strategy.
Yes. And that's our deep dive for today. We're digging into a fascinating set of notes from a talk by Peter, who's the CEO of Brain Trainer International. And the core idea is exactly that. The brain is, at its heart, a pattern recognition machine.
It learns a strategy to survive, it repeats it, and then
And it becomes invisible.
it does. It stops looking like a choice and starts looking like, well, that's just the way I am.
So our mission for this deep dive is to try and hold a mirror up to that process. We're going to trace back how these patterns were formed. And what is really shocking is how far back we have to go.
We're not talking about middle school.
No, not even high school drama. We are talking about biological foundations that were laid down literally before you were born.
That's the part that is so mind-bending.
It is. The promise here is that if we can understand how the brain built these loops in the first place, we can start to distinguish between our true selves and these brain habits.
It's the difference between staying on autopilot and actually, taking the controls.
So let's start at the beginning, the real beginning. Peter makes this very strong claim that the development of your brain didn't start with your first breath.
It started in the womb. And it wasn't just genetics, it was the environment.
Okay, this is the first download, as the notes call it. But help me understand the mechanism here. How does a developing fetus who can't really see or hear the outside world, how does it know what's going on?
It's not learning like we think of learning. It's not studying. It's learning through chemistry.
Chemistry.
Think about it. The fetus is completely linked to the mother. It shares her blood supply. So if the mother is consuming, say, a pool diet with a lot of sugar or processed stuff, those are the literal building blocks for the brain.
Right, the construction materials.
Exactly. But it goes way beyond food. It's about her emotional state.
So if she's stressed, the baby is just, what, marinating in stress hormones?
Essentially, yes. If the mother is under constant stress, her body is flooded with cortisol. The developing brain is just bathing in that chemistry. And from that, it draws a very logical, biological conclusion.
Which is?
The world I am about to enter is dangerous. It is hostile.
It's like checking the weather report before you pack for a trip.
That's a perfect way to put it. A perfect analogy.
If the report says hurricane, you pack rain gear. If the fetal brain reads high cortisol, it packs anxiety.
It builds a nervous system that is literally designed for threat detection, not for relaxation or connection. It assumes the world outside is a perfect match for the mother's internal state.
And on the flip side, if she's happy and forward-looking, that signals the world is safe. So the brain builds a different foundation.
A very different foundation.
Okay, so we have this little human fully packed for the trip based on that internal weather report.
Yeah.
And then we have the trip itself. The notes call this the exit from paradise.
Which sounds dramatic, but if you think about the contrast, it really fits.
How so?
Well, the womb it's effectively paradise. It's perfectly temperature controlled. You never have to hunt for food. You don't breathe. You don't even have to clean up after yourself.
True. It's the ultimate all-inclusive resort. No gravity, even.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden the walls close in. The birth process is described here as passing through this tiny, seemingly impossible tunnel. It's dark. The pressure is immense. It's a massive shock.
And there's this really strange connection made in the notes to near-death experiences. You know, the whole light at the end of the tunnel thing.
Yes. Researchers like Elizabeth Kubler-Ross have documented thousands of cases where people who are dying describe moving through a dark tunnel towards a light. Peter suggests that birth is basically the same experience, just in reverse.
You're leaving one existence, going through this crushing dark, and then emerging into the light.
And when you come out, talk about culture shock. The description is almost like an alien abduction.
From the baby's point of view, It absolutely is.
Think about it. You've spent 9 months inside a human body, but you have never seen a human body. You don't know what arms are, or legs, or faces.
The physics are different. The air is cold. The lights are blinding.
And suddenly these giant beings, these aliens, are grabbing you, poking you. The brain must be in a state of just absolute panic.
Or just absolute novelty. It has zero reference points for any of this.
Exactly. And this brings us to what is maybe the most critical moment of biological anchoring. In all of that chaos, the brain is desperately searching for the one and only thing it knows.
The mother.
Her rhythm, her temperature, her scent, her biological signature.
So if the baby is placed on the mother's chest right away, the system can go, phew, okay, I'm safe.
The whole system can relax. I am safe. I am protected.
But what if she isn't there? Maybe there's a medical complication, or it's an adoption, or she just needs to recover for a few hours.
Well, this is what the source material calls the primal wound. Even if there are loving doctors or nurses or relatives holding the baby to the deep brain, those people are strangers. They're still the aliens.
The deep brain panics.
It panics.
But surely the baby can't be thinking complex thoughts about abandonment. I mean, it's minutes old.
It's not a cognitive thought like, I guess mom is busy. It's a much deeper, more primal survival logic.
Yeah.
The brain asks a very, very specific question.
And that is,
what did I do to force her to leave?
wait, really? It blames itself.
It's the only logic available to it. In the infant's universe, the mother is the universe. If the universe rejects you, there must be a cause. And since the infant is the only other variable,
It must be my fault.
the infant assumes it's the cause.
So the brain encodes this fear. I did something, I don't know what, but it was something I did that made my primary protector leave.
And if I do it again, these new people, these aliens, they might leave too.
Wow. So even if that child grows up in the most loving home imaginable, that initial split-second conclusion is still running in the background.
It is. It creates a foundational insecurity, a kind of background operating system of anxiety that's always asking, am I safe? Am I doing something wrong?
And it persists no matter how much love you get later, because it was encoded before language in the deep survival parts of the brain.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've got a brain that is potentially preloaded with stress from the womb, shocked by the trauma of birth, and maybe terrified by separation. And now this little pattern machine has to figure out how to operate in the world.
Right. And the text uses a great analogy for this, learning to ride a bike.
This is how the habits get formed.
This is where the mechanics of a habit really come into play. So the brain encounters a problem, let's say a wet diaper or hunger. It's never dealt with this before.
So the right hemisphere has to get involved,
Yeah.
right? The novelty seeker.
Exactly. The right hemisphere is the explorer. It has to handle a new situation. So the baby tries a few strategies. Can I fix this myself? No, can't really move my hands yet. Can I call someone? Don't have words. Do I scream?
And bam, a giant face appears, there are soothing noises, and the problem gets solved. Strategy. Success.
And here is the absolute key. Once a strategy works, the brain stops exploring.
It locks the loop.
It locks it in. It says, okay, when I feel X, I do Y, and I get Z. It saves a tremendous amount of energy by automating that response. It shifts the work from the right hemisphere over to the left, which handles routine and patterns.
So it's all about efficiency.
It's pure biological efficiency. Just like riding a bike. The first time you do it, you're thinking about balance and pedals and the handlebars. It's completely exhausting. But once you know how, you don't think about the physics anymore. You just ride.
This explains so much about why toddlers are so fascinating to watch. Peter mentions how a puppy or a toddler sees the world completely differently. Everything is new to them.
They're constantly exploring because they haven't locked in all the patterns yet. They're still in that right hemisphere discovery mode.
But as we get older, we automate more and more.
Yeah.
We trade that sense of wonder for efficiency.
We do. The text uses the example of air travel, which I think is just perfect for this.
Oh, I relate to this one so much.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a metal tube, literally hurling through the sky at 500 miles per hour, 30,000 feet above the earth. I mean, it is a genuine miracle of engineering.
It's a miracle. And what are we doing?
We're bored.
We are bored. We're complaining about the legroom. We're annoyed that the Wi-Fi is slow. We're checking our watches.
Because the brain isn't seeing the miracle anymore. It's just running the airplane loop.
Sit down, buckle up, wait for the ding, eat the little bag of peanuts. We aren't experiencing reality. We're experiencing our brain's cached pattern of reality.
That is actually kind of depressing. We're missing our own lives because our brain has already solved the pattern.
In many ways, we are. And because everyone's initial conditions, that prenatal weather report, that birth experience, those early strategies are completely different, there's no such thing as a normal brain.
Every single one is as unique as a fingerprint.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have these unique loops. Some are good, like walking and reading, but some are not so good. Anxiety, defensiveness, shutting down. We always talk about breaking habits, but it is so incredibly hard. I mean, we know we shouldn't worry, but we worry anyway. Why does the brain fight us so hard when we try to change?
This brings us to a concept called homeostasis. And I think we really need to spend a moment here because this is why most self-help books, frankly, fail.
Homeostasis, that's just a fancy word for balance, right? For stability.
Biological stability, yes. But think of your habits not as separate little things, but as like a mobile hanging from the ceiling. Or even better, a spider web. All your habits and patterns interact with each other to keep the whole system stable.
Okay, I'm picturing a spider web.
Now, if you try to change just one piece of that, say you decide I'm going to stop being anxious, you are pulling on one single thread of that web. What happens to the rest of it?
It all vibrates. It distorts the whole shape.
Exactly. The entire system feels that instability. The other habits literally scream, no, stop, this feels wrong, put it back. The system's prime directive is to preserve stability, even if that stability is miserable.
So my brain would rather be comfortably miserable than uncomfortably new.
100%. Peter uses this really powerful analogy from family therapy that explains the internal conflict we feel.
Yeah, run me through that. This one really clicked for me.
Okay, so in family therapy, you often have the identified patient, the problem child.
Right.
The parents bring their kid in and say, fix him, he's acting out, he's the issue.
But it's usually not really about the kid, is it? It's about the whole family dynamic.
It's almost never just the kid. The child is acting as a symptom bearer for the whole family's dysfunction. Maybe the parent's marriage is falling apart, but they don't have to face it because they're too busy dealing with the problem child.
The child's behavior, as messed up as it sounds, stabilizes the family.
It creates a familiar, if painful, balance. What happens if the therapist actually works with the child and the child starts to improve? They become calmer, more independent.
The family dynamic is threatened. The buffer is gone. Now the parents have to face their own issues.
And so the family, completely subconsciously, tries to push the child back into the old problem role.
Be the problem again so we know who we are.
Precisely. And Peter argues that your brain does this to itself. If you have a problem habit, let's say it's anxiety, and you start to train it away, your internal system feels that shift, that loss of balance. It feels wrong and unfamiliar.
So the rest of my brain tries to push me back towards anxiety because, weirdly, it feels safe. It's familiar.
That explains so much self-sabotage. It's not that we want to fail. It's that our brain wants to remain stable. It's protecting the status quo at all costs.
Stability is priority number one.
Yeah.
And change is a threat to stability.
Exactly.
So if we really want to change, we have to deal with the machinery under the hood. We can't just think our way out of it. And this leads to maybe the most abstract part of this discussion, the field and energy.
Yes. Peter asks a question that stumps a lot of biologists. How does a newborn who has never eaten before know exactly how to nurse, sometimes within hours of birth?
We just call it instinct. But instinct is kind of a placeholder word for, I don't know, isn't it?
It often is, yes. The suggestion here is that the subcortex, the deep, ancient part of the brain, connects to a field of information. Think of it as ancestral knowledge, a preloaded software package from thousands of generations saying, this is how you survive.
It's like downloading the drivers before the operating system is even booted up.
That's a great way to think about it. But here's the crucial rule for how we operate those drivers. Energy controls chemistry.
Break that down, because we usually hear it the other way around. That chemical imbalances cause brain issues.
Okay, let's use a car analogy. Think of chemistry, neurotransmitters, hormones, even medication, as the gasoline in the tank.
Okay, the fuel.
It fuels the car. But the energy, the electrical patterns in the brain, the habits, that's the driver holding the steering wheel.
I'm with you.
You can put the highest quality racing fuel in that tank. You can adjust the chemistry perfectly. But if the driver, the electrical pattern, has a habit of jerking the wheel to the left every time he sees a shadow,
The car is still going into the ditch.
the car is going into the ditch. So we spend a lot of time trying to change the fuel, but we aren't actually teaching the driver how to steer.
And this touches on a sensitive point.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are not giving medical advice. Chemistry is important.
Absolutely. But Peter's perspective is that because chemistry can sometimes mask or alter the brain's energy patterns, it can be difficult to effectively train the brain if the gas is overpowering the driver.
So the idea is, if you really want to retrain those electrical loops, those habits, you need to be able to see them clearly.
You have to get to the root cause, which is the electrical habit, not just manage the chemical symptom. And we can actually see these habits in brain waves.
Right. Peter gives that specific example, the anatomy of anxiety, going back to the missing mother scenario.
Yes. So we know brain development happens in a specific order, back to front and right to left.
The back for sensory input, the front for action, and the right side is that novelty seeker, always scanning.
Exactly. So imagine that baby who cannot find its mother. The right posterior brain, the back right side, goes into overdrive. It is scanning the environment constantly.
It's looking for her.
It's creating these fast, high-frequency brain waves. It's like a radar dish just spinning out of control. Where is she? Is it safe? Is that a threat? What was that noise? It just gets stuck in the on position.
And if that loop locks in early on,
You get an adult whose right posterior brain never, ever shuts up. An adult who cannot find peace, who's constantly scanning the room, scanning their email inbox, scanning their partner's face for any sign of trouble.
and not because there actually is trouble, but because the brain is just stuck in the habit of searching for it.
Precisely. The search mode became the default setting because of that early survival need, and now it's just a loop running on autopilot. It's an electrical rut in the road that the driver just keeps falling into.
This is, well, it's a lot to take in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also incredibly hopeful.
How so?
Because if these things are just loops, just strategies our brains learn to survive, then they aren't us. They aren't our soul or our destiny.
That is the ultimate takeaway from all of this. We are not our patterns. We are the consciousness that is experiencing the patterns. Peter's work is really just a mirror. It says, look at these loops.
Look at the anxiety, the boredom, the reactivity.
And understand they were formed to protect you when you were at your most vulnerable. You don't have to be angry at your brain for being anxious.
It was just trying to keep you safe when you were a baby looking for your mom.
Exactly. You can thank the habit for its service. It got you this far. But you can also recognize that you are not that helpless infant anymore. You don't need to run a high-frequency search loop to survive a meeting at work.
We have the choice to retrain, to understand the homeostasis, handle the resistance, and gently push the system toward a new, more intentional balance.
A balance where the driver is actually steering the car, not just reacting to every single bump in the road.
So here is the challenge, the mirror question we want to leave you with today. Now that you know your brain is just a collection of old survival loops, take an honest look at your life. Which of those habits are you repeating right now without even noticing?
And more importantly, which ones are you ready to thank for their service and then retire so you can finally train something new?
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for exploring the machinery of the mind with us.
Until next time.